This is Talking Devils, your favourite Manchester United podcast. I'm your host, Wayne Barton. I'm not Keane Freeney, unfortunately for Phil. We've been having some good banter with him over the last couple of weeks. I'm joined by former United forward Phil Marsh, fresh from goal-scoring exploits from Pilkington FC. Looks like he's about to go out and play some more games. It's like we're keeping him at the minute. Phil, how are you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Wayne. Yeah, everything's fine. Obviously, doing really well at the moment in terms of my own personal sort of football, and hopefully we can carry that on and obviously keep their momentum going. Obviously, moving forward, we've started the season really well, so just looking forward to our next game, and just hoping we can keep the sort of results coming that we've been getting recently.
Player of the month, aren't you?
Yeah, player of the month. I mean, I've been scoring goals and playing quite well, and I think the team's been doing really well. So I've just been lucky enough to be getting on the end of some of the good play from the lads, and we're winning games. So fingers crossed that long and may that continue, and hopefully, as I say, we can sort of try and get some sort of promotion or at least hit the playoffs this year, which would be a good achievement for ourselves.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to take credit for this website for being on this podcast. Obviously, coincidental your upturning form, but maybe a little bit of credit. Maybe the no, I'll leave that one. You might have seen a lad there. He's joining the show, former United player. I think what I like about the dynamic here is you've both got something that the other one would probably like. Phil played for the first team, and Lee Lawrence, who's there, is an FA Youth Cup winner. And I'm pretty sure that every now and again, Phil wishes that he had that Youth Cup medal, and then every now and again, Lee wishes that he'd made a first team appearance as well. Lee Lawrence is going to be a regular on the show. Good guy. How are you doing, Lee? You all right?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Thank you very much for inviting us on, mate. Really appreciate it. I'm glad to be here. Like you said, touching on Phil, what an achievement making it in the first team. I think he's been a little bit modest with his achievements at the moment with Pilkington. He's always been top quality player, mate, and he's still got plenty left in his legs yet.
Yep, he has, and plenty in his voice as well. He might be resting his vocal cords now.
I'll pay you later, Lee, for saying that, mate.
No worries, mate. No worries. As long as they tell us lose, mate, I'm not bothered.
I'm standing in for Keane. Obviously, Keane's moving out at the moment, so Keane is the regular host. I'm just standing in for him. Be a dodgy substitute this week. I know he's good to be missing out, but he's really excited to start talking to Lee, as he has been doing a great job with Phil on the pod. If you're watching live, please like and subscribe. If you're watching live on YouTube, then feel free to get your questions in on Facebook as well. I think you can do that. We'll be giving out a couple of books on this show, copies of 3 books. Fergie's Fledglings, which these two guys were very kind enough to be interviewed for. True Genius, my book on George Best, and Eric Cantona as well. 2 other legendary number 7s. Who, let's talk about another one in a moment. So get in the discussion, please. If you start talking in the comments and ask a few questions, then we'll be picking the winners for those books tonight. And before we get started on the discussion for tonight, recent videos and stuff on the website. Dave had a video last week with Scott Wootton, which is still on the channel, obviously, but he tells a story about his journey to Leeds, which is a bit mental. From United, the Leeds fans would stop him in the street and have a go at him and say, "Why have you? Is it better coming here from the scum?" and stuff like that. Pretty good. Go and have a watch of that. There's a lot to go on the website at the moment. I've been writing a series, Football Taught by. It's a history series of United, but this week I decided to write about Mourinho. And a lot of Mourinho fans found me online and they did not like what I had to write about him. So I had a lot of stick for that. I'm sure you guys saw it on Facebook. There's a few comments from one guy who called me a useless gigolo repeatedly, which, I took as a compliment, because it's better than what my usual status as a gigolo is. So friend of the site, Rafael da Silva as well, back in home after signing him for Botafogo. I know it was his dream to go there, and I tweeted congratulating him. And all of a sudden, off of Brazil is inviting me to go down and have a cocktail, which, I don't mind. I've never flown that far, but maybe one day I will do that. Let's get through the comments today. Hello, Jason, Cristiano Eve, it certainly is. We'll be talking about him. Dave Murphy, our social media manager. How are you doing, Dave? Oh, you all right? Rio says Halo. I think that's the angel around Lee's head. And Ronaldo makes a lot of goals. Yes, so do we. We'll get to that in a moment. Right. Okay. So Lee, let's get started with yourself this week, as it's your debut on the show. For the last 2 weeks, Phil and Keane have talked, and they've squeezed just about as much as they can from talking about the Ronaldo orange. 2 hours worth of talking about him coming back to United. But you were one of the unfortunate lads who were there at the club. Who you were basically there when Ronaldo signed. You would have had the unfortunate task of marking him in training. But before you even got to that, a couple of the youth club lads. So you'd won the youth cup earlier that summer. A couple of the lads went on that trip to Lisbon. Did they come back buzzing talking about him?
Yeah, basically, me and Ronnie, same age. Some of the young lads who was at my age was on about him at the time. What can you say about Ronnie is the expectation, what was there before he came over to us guys, he proved in abundance. I always remember the first training session-ish, if you will. What the first team used to do, they used to blood him in by letting them come and train with the reserves for a week or two. Just to get them stable, get them used, similar age, especially the younger guys, Rooney's, Ronaldo, similar age than what the reserves were doing at that time. And there was a massive buzz around the place when he come. Obviously, being a local boy, I thought to myself, I'll give him a bit of stick, give these foreigners what they're not used to, what they don't like. And I'll never ever forget it. He had the ball at his feet. I thought, right, he's having it. I slid in 2 foot. He literally flicked the ball over my head. I went flying, turned around mid-air, volleyed it, top corner. And I thought, that's it. I want to be subbed off. I don't want to train anymore. He was literally that good. He was fantastic. And he's still absolutely fantastic to this day.
Was that a regular occurrence saying you get that every day in training? Or did you learn how to... Did you run away?
No, after a week or two, we was all buzzing that he got fired off when he was training with the first team, mate, because we didn't want any more of that.
I feel that's an interesting thing. I mean, not interesting for Lee. Probably still have nightmares about that. But we're not going to bang too much of the Ronaldo drum today. But one thing I wanted to ask you about, a lot of the negative press has been coming in. The response to the wave of positivity that was obviously the first reaction to the signing. The media, obviously, as they often do, when they're building a player up, they have to knock another one down. And that's usually the case with the Messi and Ronaldo argument. They always kind of reduce it to it being talent versus work. Like Messi has the talent and Ronaldo didn't. He just worked hard. And it kind of comes down to something like, Messi could dribble and Ronaldo can't. And I just think that's incredible revisionism because Lee's already talked there about how Ronaldo was scary with his dribbling. I'm not saying Messi's not. He's outstanding at dribbling and his low centre of gravity is his main tool in that. He can dodge players and run away from them. But I remember Ronaldo running at players and they would have to stand off because they were terrified because he was running at them. He was going to make them look silly. And I remember that for about 3 years. They couldn't commit. So they backed off. And Ronaldo would often use that space to get his shot away and often score from that. Now, obviously, he doesn't. I'm not saying he plays like that now. He might not. He's a pure goal threat. But his game evolved. He added that threat. It's not like he didn't dribble because he can't dribble. He was so good at dribbling that players were terrified of him. The Roma game stands out for me where they were backing off him and he scored a couple of goals like that. I just think that at one point, and I think it was a double season, when Rene pulled him aside and sort of gave him some individual coaching where he just thought, I'm that far ahead of everyone that I'm just going to start dominating you now. And he's done that for like 12 or 13 years. Do you think that there's a bit of a disservice that goes on? Because it does sometimes look across, when you look at the analysis of it, let's say Messi and Ronaldo, but certainly Ronaldo on his own, that people just say he's a product of hard work. And that does a massive disservice to how talented he is. It's how skillful he is. He's extremely skillful, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you don't get as good as he is just by working hard. I mean, there's got to be an abundance of talent in there as well. And I think for me, the dribbling elements, what we've just touched on there, for me, I think in his earlier years, that was probably the biggest part of his game. I always remember watching him and being on the edge of my seat thinking every time he gets the ball, something was going to happen. He used to, drift past 3 and 4 players like he wasn't there. And then I think, as you just touched on there, I think when he sort of got a little bit more mature and did some work with Rene and started to understand that he didn't need to do that all the time, and maybe the end product started coming a little bit more, I think that's when he sort of developed his all-round game. and then he didn't obviously have to then do all that dribbling because he had other attributes that he could utilise. And I think for me, in terms of all-round players, I think he's probably the best that I've ever seen in terms of, not just talking about dribbling. We're talking about everything here. We're talking about, finishes from outside the box, heading, strength, pace, scoring goals, like dribbling, like running, beating 2 and 3 players. And I think for me, he's somebody who, although he did have, a lot of hard work and he has, put the hours in on the training ground, I think to say that he wasn't talented and it's just all down to hard work is a massive sort of disservice to him, because he's got to the top by not only hard work but obviously being a very talented player as well.
You must have been relieved to watch Lee get embarrassed in training. You could look back and watch it rather than experience it yourself.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't envy any of the defending defensive players sort of around that time, because he was so good. And I always just remember the first time I sort of seen him in a training session, and the feat that he had was just unbelievable. I mean, for somebody so young and sort of, coming over to, a new club and to sort of, just be so confident straight off the bat was frightening. And I think some of the sort of players were shocked at sort of how talented and how good he actually was. When you get up close and personal and you're seeing him sort of on the training ground, it's ridiculous. And Lee just touched on it there. He used to do stuff in training, and you'd be thinking like scratching your head, thinking, how's he just done that? But yeah, he was special, and obviously he's gone on to be probably one of the best players of all time, and looking forward to seeing him tomorrow back in Old Trafford.
Yeah, Davo asks, it was well publicised that Fergie had to take him aside early on to tell him to go out the diving. Did any of the senior players approach that topic in training? I'll come to you, Phil, first.
I think they probably will have done, as I say. I mean, I always sort of mention Keno because he was obviously the captain, and he used to be sort of, somebody who was a massive character within that group. And I think, when Ronaldo came in and he was maybe overdoing things and, trying to do too much, and, maybe, he maybe did do a couple of, dives and theatrical things. I think, some of them players, the likes of Keno and whatever, the senior members, I'll probably have just pulled him and just sort of said, like, you don't need to do that, and we don't want that in this club and stuff. But I think that was just a learning curve again for him, and obviously once he started to understand that he didn't need to do that, and that he was better than that, and if you like, I think it all started coming together, and I think that was down to not just some of the first team players giving him that advice and trying to sort of steer him in the right direction. That was again down to himself having to learn in his own sort of mistakes and his own sort of games when he maybe didn't do things right. I think that as any good footballer does, you learn from your mistakes and you try and improve on that. And I think for me, he's obviously overcome that now, and he's far better for it in terms of he's a proper role model to any young players out there.
Lee, would you agree that his game improved when he did cut out the theatrics?
100%, yeah. If you remember back in the early 2000s, obviously when we was playing, the team we had, it was full of no-nonsense characters. We had, obviously, like Phil just said, Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, all the senior players, Gary Neville. They weren't having none of that. But when you're brought with a club, you don't dive. Even through, like say, Mickey Phelan, he wouldn't have had none of that. Obviously, Sir Alex wouldn't have had none of that. So as though I didn't see him getting a bit of an earful for it, I'm pretty sure he would have. And 100% is become a much better player for not doing that, or not doing that as much. I know this modern day game, you can't. It's kind of part and parcel of it now. It's you can't really put a foot in anymore. If you do, people dive, people go over. They get taught that now. But that day and age, it never happened. And I'm sure he would have got a bit of an earful off the lads, especially in the first couple of weeks of him coming, which probably would have changed his mind a bit on doing it.
Yeah. So it blows my mind, to be honest, that we might, in 24 hours, we'll be talking about how either maybe even Ronaldo surprising us again by how good he is, you know what I mean? Because everyone's sort of thinking, can he still take the Premier League by storm? Going to be interesting considering that we said that we weren't going to talk about Ronaldo too much. We've gone to 15 minutes talking about him. He's gone from a flying winger to a fox in the box striker. How difficult of a transformation would that have been? Jason asks that. I'll come to Phil because that's your kind of area of the team.
Yeah, I think as you get older and, you maybe lose a little bit of pace and what have you, you've got to always try and adapt your game. I think he's obviously been lucky in terms of he's kept himself at, the very, very top level. He's always been super fit. He always does extra. So for him, he's probably not really had to adapt his game too much. But I just think now, because he's obviously played in different leagues and, the style of play maybe, differs from some of the teams he's played in. I think he's that good that he just knows, how to adapt his game to make him, as efficient as he has, because obviously his goal record has never dipped for basically 10 years. He's always been, 30, 40 goals a season, which is incredible for, somebody to be, racking up them figures every single season. So, yeah, I don't think for him it's been as difficult as it may be for other players, just because of the amount of talent and the sort of attributes that he's got. That there's not really anything that he can't do and he couldn't adapt to in terms of, on a football pitch. There's nothing that I wouldn't sort of, think, oh, he's not very good at that, or he couldn't maybe do that. He's somebody who I would, bank me money on to produce, especially, in pressure situations, and at the top level he's done it, season after season. And for me, he's got better, if you like, for me, with sort of age, and I think he's still got at least another, 3 or 4 seasons if he keeps himself like he will do, motivated and wanting to, keep breaking records and be as successful as he has, because that's just, the way he is, and that's why he's been such an amazing player.
Yeah, if you look at the state of him at the minute, though, he might decline very rapidly. He's losing it. I'm joking, lads. A couple of comments here. Mamasini says, small channel, but good luck, guys. Yeah, we're growing. I'm enjoying it. I'd send a super chat for support. You don't need to do that. But yeah, we've got former players on every show. I'm just on moonlighting at the moment. So yeah, do subscribe if you don't already. Give the video a like. And he says, he's really smart. And I think he was talking about Ronaldo, but he might have been talking about you, Phil. I give that the benefit of the doubt with that one.
Probably Ronaldo, to be fair.
Definitely not me.
Not me either. So let's get to the game at the weekend. Donny van der Beek, he's come out, he said a few things over the international break. He didn't go away with Holland, presumably because of his lack of game time. Solskjaer's come out and talked about he can play in different positions. I know it's a hot topic. Everyone's talked about him. Sammy McElroy talked to the website this week about this weekend being the perfect chance for him, basically, because Fred's had the nonsense with the Brazilian team and McTominay's still on his way back. And Newcastle, maybe kind of convenient opponents without wanting to take them for granted too much. Lee, Donny van der Beek, he's had a bit of a difficult year, but you would think that this is a good opportunity for him to play.
He's got to play, and he's like I say, Scott, who I think is going to be really, really influential this year on the team. He's out. Fred with the nonsense, like you've just said. He's got to play. He's got to be given a chance. He's obviously got that natural talent. Else the club wouldn't have signed him.
Yeah.
It's just for me personally, what I have seen of him, and it is only a snippet, to be honest with you, of what I would have liked to have seen. He's not really done it. But then again, how can you do it having 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there? Cameo roles. He needs a start. He needs a run. Perfect opportunity. The only thing that worries me a little with him is the coaching staff we've got. They know the stuff. They're seeing him every day in training, and they're still not giving him that opportunity to play. That worries me a little. That worries me to think, have they bought him thinking he's better than he is? I don't think so, because we've got the scouting stuff there and everything's in place to get the best players in the world, basically. But I'm not convinced yet. Hopefully, he gets a little run in the side now, starting against Newcastle. He does well and pushes on, and I really do hope the lad does well.
Yeah, Phil, it's a good point about the coaching staff, and especially United, because if there's one thing they are, it's patient. They showed that with Shaw. That's why he's become so good. Showed it with Lindelof a lot last season. So they're not the type of managerial setup that's not going to give a player a chance. Do you think that you flip the argument, basically, that if he gets the chance this week, the onus is on him to impress more than it is on the sort of setup to give him the chance?
Yeah, I think it will be. I mean, obviously, sometimes you know at a big club you don't get that many chances, and I think for him now, this season's going to be a massive season. I do think he's obviously had a bit of hard luck in terms of not playing as many games as he would have wanted to, and as any player knows, you do need sort of a run of games in a side to sort of get yourself up to full speed and stuff. As I said, Newcastle's probably a good sort of team to come in and sort of get a game under your belt. For me, I think he's probably looking at that game as one that he could maybe have an impact on, which for such a talented player like he is, I think that's not a sort of not out of the question for him to come in and be a good player. But as I say, Lee's touched on that there. If he's training every day and he's doing well in training, you'd sort of think the coaching staff would have obviously given him more opportunities. So that does obviously beg the question: is he performing in training? Is he attitude right? I mean, we don't know these things, but I'm hoping myself that he does get a little chance in a run of games and he can prove people wrong. So fingers crossed he gets a start this weekend and he can sort of put in a performance that gives him that chance then to sort of get a couple of games under his belt, and then that's up to him. It's the onus is on him then to keep his shirt and make Ollie sort of keep him in the team.
Yeah. You know as well as I know, Phil, if I just interrupt you there a second, obviously us growing up there, if you're a young lad like Kevin Richardson, Giuseppe Rossi, Gerard Piqué playing with us, they always playing well. Chris Eagles, at the club, you're training well and you're playing well, you get a chance. You get a chance, mate. It's always been the case. It's a club tradition that they always give the lad a chance if they're doing well on merit. That's the worrying part for me, that is not being given a chance. And there's other players there which you wouldn't think would get the chance in front of him, which are actually getting that chance where he's not. And that's the worrying part for me. What's happening behind the scenes in the training that not letting him have that chance to play.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a thing of him being that number 10 position. Do you know what I mean? That they earmarked him for it so strongly that now they're having to revise the thoughts about whether or not he can play in that midfield. And obviously, the player that we need there is going to be someone who's disciplined. I'm not saying that he doesn't have that quality, but maybe it's kind of like a drastic reschooling of him. Do you know, like say, Phil and I have talked in the past about Scott McTominay, whether or not he's got the skill set to train in, to be the holding midfielder a little bit like Matic was, to have that positional discipline. If now they're going to be running Van der Beek for that, but then when you've got McTominay coming back and he's clearly a favourite of Ollie's, it's definitely going to be something to be asked. Momasini asks, I'm not going to answer this today, tough one, assuming Ronaldo bombs tomorrow, what will be the likely causes? Not addressing that kind of negativity on this channel.
It's not going to happen, is it? It's not going to
happen. No, exactly. Jason asked, do I think Lingard's in front of Van der Beek to play? I don't know. Maybe he has played games and thinking. I wonder if Lingard's game time at the start, like Dan James, was basically a shop window. Well, we'll see. Move on to comments made by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer earlier today. I just want to get your guys' brief thought on this. He said that last season was good, but not successful because there wasn't a trophy. On top of the Ronaldo signing, which is basically said as inviting the speculation, not about his future, but sort of to say if you don't win something now, you're really in a lot of trouble in terms of the progress that you've made. You've got to have something to show for it. He's obviously invited that, Phil. He's basically said, in this situation, I know I've signed Ronaldo, and I know that I'm saying that we need to win a trophy to be successful. He's actually saying the words so the press don't need to say it. He's aware of the pressure. Do you think that's a good thing that he's done that, addressed it from the off?
Yeah, I think Manchester United, inevitably you get judged on winning trophies, and over the past 2 or 3 seasons, Ollie has obviously made progress, but obviously with the signings that we've made in this transfer window, I think he's not going to be naive enough to think that winning a trophy this season is the only way that he's going to get judged on this season not being sort of a failure, because with them 3 signings, Varane, Sancho, and Cristiano Ronaldo, that just piles the pressure on, because that's 3 world-class players. And to add to the players that we've already got, I think now that's the expectation that's got to be there. And as I say, Manchester United demands, success no matter what team it is, no matter what year it is. You get judged on winning trophies, and I think Ollie's not, naive enough to think that this year is going to be any different. But with that, transfer window that we've had, I think, this year we need to sort of start, challenging in the Champions League and win a trophy, at least to sort of show that we are making them steps again in the right direction.
Yeah, Lee, on that comment, Dave asks, does Ollie lose his job if he doesn't win something this season? It kind of ties into the fact that he's sort of invited that speculation anyway.
It's look, it's Man United. Man United equals trophies. It's always been the same as far as I've supported Man United, which has been from a young child. You play for Man United, you represent Man United. It's all about winning trophies. The other managers since Sir Alex left got the chance, didn't do it, got bombed out. Look, Ollie's a great guy. I remember Ollie well from the club. I was injured quite a lot while he was. Spent a lot of time with Ollie. Absolute legend at the club. I think that's why he's been given a little bit more time and there's been a little bit less pressure to perform because he's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as a club legend. He's always said he wants to build a team. He's been given that chance. He's been given that opportunity. The signings, I think, are fantastic for the team. He's got to win something now. He's definitely got to win something. There's no excuses, I don't think, now with the squad and the depth of the squad we've got. And we must have 5 or 6 world-class players now in that squad. Yeah. So there's no reason at all we can't go on and win at least 1 or 2 trophies this season. As opposed to, will he get sacked? There's a lot of pressure on him. Like you just said, he's invited that pressure onto himself now. So he must really do think that he's going to do something this year. Because he's basically said it himself, hasn't he? He knows the expectations of the club. He knows if he doesn't win nothing, it could be the end. Hopefully not, because I like him as a manager. I think he's good for the club. But yeah, if nothing happens this if nothing happens this year, there's going to be a talking to, I think, and whether he's there again next season, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a big question. One last question in before we come to the final point of the show to wrap up quick. JPD Manchester, does he start Ronaldo or use him 20 minutes to go with the build-up to build up the clamour for his return? Hope that the feel-good factor, so long missing, is kept up through the season. Definitely a feel-good factor. Lee, I'll come to you quick. One word, start or bench?
Start, 100% start.
Phil?
Yeah, I think start as well.
Yeah, all right, nice one. Rio says at least FA Cup and top 3 for Ole. Monsini's asking questions about Ronaldo. Don't worry about it, mate. I'm only joking about the negativity. Don't worry about it. It's all good. And Jason says, look at the mess Ole inherited from Jose. He's done a fantastic job. Absolutely, completely agree with that. Before we wrap up the show, guys, doing the giveaway for basically books of George Best and Fergie's Fledglings and Eric Cantona. I thought because we'll talk about Ronaldo and so I'm doing the Cantona book, I thought I'd ask you both to name your favourite Cantona and Ronaldo goals. So if I come to Phil first, because he answered first when I did the group chat. Guys, if you're watching this, get in your favourites and I'll put them on the screen as well. Your favourite Ronaldo goal, your favourite Cantona goal. Phil, I'll let you go first, mate.
Yeah, obviously a couple of goals sprung to mind straight away for both players. They've both scored quite a lot of iconic goals. But for me, Cristiano Ronaldo's goal against Porto in the Champions League, just because of the way he took the ball and to strike a ball with so much power and accuracy, on the run, is such a hard skill to do. And that goal for me was absolutely outrageous, and I think that's one of the best goals that's ever been scored in the Champions League for me. I think it was just an unbelievable strike, and obviously at the top level it's quality. So that one definitely for me. Cantona, I think there was a couple of goals that obviously I thought of straight away for him, but I've gone for the chip at Old Trafford against Sunderland just because I think that goal sort of epitomised Eric Cantona in sort of that one moment. I think the audacity to chip the keeper obviously the accuracy, and then obviously the celebration was just, yeah, I'm the king of Old Trafford, and I'm here, and it was just amazing, and he's obviously a massive legend at the club. So yeah, them are my two picks for the goals.
Yeah, Mike, the celebration for that Sunderland goal is iconic. Absolutely, it is. It's one of the defining Cantona images. Lee, you were a bit disgruntled, to say the least, that Phil got in there. I mean, it's not like you've got a bad catalogue to pick from, to be fair.
No, there's that many, mate. But I literally, when you sent us that message, I was driving and I thought in my head, and it come up, and I thought, they're the two goals what everybody thinks of Ronaldo and Cantona, aren't they? But I always remember Ronaldo's first goal. I think it was a free kick against Portsmouth.
Yeah.
And he arrived, and we all thought, well, this could be some player. So that sticks in my mind. And also, another massive goal for the club and for himself was the European Cup final against Chelsea, when he scored that header. That's one that sticks in my memory for me. Cantona-wise, again, the iconic goal, chip, the celebration. You can't look past that goal without thinking of Eric Cantona. But I do remember one against Arsenal where the ball came out. I think it was after the defender got headed out, and he chested it down from about 25 yards out and half volleyed it in the top corner. Mesmerising at the time. We were young kids, and I can just remember being on any park or any person's back garden or your mate's back garden, trying to recreate them goals. Fantastic memories. And basically, for me, both two of the best players, apart from George Best, who ever graced that football field for me.
Yeah, all number 7s as well, for
Brilliant.
sure. Well, yeah, that's it, guys, for this week. Thanks for joining in on the chat. Really good to have the conversation this week. Keen will be back next week with Phil and Lee to sort of take over the reins from myself and do a much better job than what I did. The conversation's a lot better. It's better to watch than it is to be the host under pressure. I'll tell you that for sure. I'll be back on Monday with Paul Parker to talk about the weekend's game, and I'm not sure if Dave is. I think Dave's back with Scott on Sunday, but I'll let that for the social media gods to decide. Scott Wootton, that is, former United defender. Like I say, if you enjoy this show, the shows that we run on this channel are all with former United players like Lee, like Phil, a cross-section across United history, going back to even back to the 70s when we have Gordon Hill on. So we've got right from then to the present day, really. So really good selection of former United players who were generous to give their time to us. Really, I really appreciate Phil. Really appreciate Lee. And like I said, really good to watch you guys and not just when I'm stepping in as the host. Not you, Lee, but you will be good to watch in the future. I'm sure you will. Jason, great show, guys. Buzzing for the game tomorrow now. Yeah, me too, mate. Absolutely buzzing. Remember, TOTD10. If you are watching this, you get a 10% discount with classic football shirts. So TOTD10 is your 10% discount code with them. If you're watching this back, please give us a like and a subscribe to the channel. We'll be back. I know Phil and Lee will be back with Keane next week. So stay safe, stay well. Thanks for watching, and viva Ronaldo.